Hello, good morning. So today's topic is all about adjustments, one of the challenging topic in accounting, but today we will talk only about the prepaid expenses and how to make an adjustment when we talk about prepaid expenses. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so some expenses are customarily paid in advance. These expenditures, example, supplies, rent, and insurance. So prepaid expenses are assets, not expenses. Take note of this. So prepaid expenses is an asset or are assets, no, not an expenses. At the end of the accounting period, a portion of all of these prepayments may have expired. The portion of an asset that has expired becomes an expense. So that's the reasons so we need to make an adjustment at the end of the accounting period or at the end of the month for us to recognize the expense that already expired. I mean the prepaid expenses that's already expired or that already used. Okay. So some of the example of the prepaid expenses are supplies, rent, and insurance. Okay, so let's take a look the illustration. Okay, so on May 1, paid 3-month insurance amounting to 6,000. What is the entry to record an adjustment at the end of the month? So no, on May 1, we purchased or we paid insurance good for 3 months. That would be 6,000. So the record for this on May 1 would be prepaid expenses, that is debit 6,000, and then cash credit 6,000. So at the end of the month, the May 31, what would be our entry? So May 31, so we need to record the insurance expense. That would be debit 2,000, and then prepaid insurance 2,000 to record the expired insurance. And what is the computation? Okay, so the monthly insurance expense is equal to the 6,000 that we paid on May 1 is good for 3 months, so we need to divide it by 3. So we will arrive at the amount of 2,000. That would be a monthly insurance. So at the end of May, at the end of the month, May 31, so 1 month insurance was already expired. So this amount, 2,000, the monthly insurance expense is the amount that we need to recognize. That would be an insurance expense. Okay, so let's take a look at the other illustration. May 7, purchase office supplies amounting of 7,000. At the end of the month, the inventory count showed that supplies amounting to 6,100 is still on hand. So on May 7, to record this transaction, so we need to record office supplies or supplies debit 7,000 and then credit to cash 7,000. So at the end of the month, the problem tells us that there's only 6,100 left. Okay, so May 31, supplies expense 900 and then credit to supplies 900 to record the supplies used. So what is the formula? So computation, supplies beginning. So on our illustration, there's no given beginning of the supplies. So there's a purchases of 7,000 that is on May 7, and then less the supplies ending, that is the amount of office supplies that is still on hand, 6,100. So we will arrive the supplies expense or supplies use of 900. Okay, so let's move on to other illustration. On May 1, Ben Company paid 4 months rent amounting to 12,000. What is the amount of rent expense on June 30? Okay, before we proceed to adjustment entry, so what would be the record on May 1? That would be prepaid rent amount of 12,000, that would be debit, and then credit to cash 12,000. So this scenario is unusual, no? Because the suggested format or the suggested or the recommendation is we need to record the adjustment or the adjusting entry every end of the month. So in this case, this company did not record the adjustment entry for the prepaid rent at the end of May 31. So we can assume that this company using quarterly basis or quarterly recording, but I suggest, and based on my experience, most of the company record and make an adjustment every month to properly allocated the expense. Okay, so in this case, for example, in this scenario, on May 31, there's no expense on May 31 on the month of May. So meaning there's an overstatement in the amount of asset in the asset section, and then overstatement in income statement. Okay, so in this scenario, what would be the entry? June 30, rent expense 6,000, and then prepaid rent 6,000. Okay, what is the computation? So monthly rent expense is 12,000. That would be good for 4 months. So we need to divide it by 4 to arrive the monthly expense of 3,000. That would be a record, supposedly, if the company using monthly adjustment. So on May 31, so they need to record 3,000. But this scenario, they did not. So May to June, the rent expense for May and June, since the scenario is asking what would be the rent expense on June 30. So that would be May and June, 2 months. So 3,000, that is monthly expense, times 2 months is equal to 6,000. All right, I think that's it. So I have here some exercises. Just comment your answer, and then I'll be checking that later. Okay, the first question: on January 1, office supplies balance was 300. January 5, both additional supplies amounting to 4,000. At the end of the month, office supplies on hand cost of 2,600. Prepare and adjusting entries. Okay, number 2, February 1, ABC company purchased a 5-month insurance for the service vehicle, amount of 20,000. What is the insurance expense on March 31? And number 3, March 16, company ABC paid 4-month rent cost of 80,000. What is the amount of rent expense on March 31? Okay, so I hope everyone will comment their answer, and then I'll check that later. So that's it for today. Thank you so much.